All right, we are back. This is the Dream is Free podcast, episode 8. I'm your host, Jake Healy. We have our other host and super producer, Mike Theophil.
What's up? What's up? What's up, guys?
Very excited about our guest today. His name is Johnnie Bird the Third, right?
Johnnie Bird the Third. I love that.
Yeah, we're very excited to have him on today. He's a former Uconn basketball player. He's doing up to a lot of great things now. I know you have the hashtag DOMODE. Yeah. And that's all about motivation, community stuff, keeping everybody else motivated around you.
Yeah.
You were actually referred to us to come on here by Danny Vieira.
Oh yeah, Danny. Yeah, Danny's my man.
From Live Free. Yeah. Free. So he's a good friend of ours. He was just on here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sent me over his podcast that you guys did, and I checked it out. I mean, all the stuff he was saying, me and Dan, we
talk about that all the time.
It's been late nights talking to Dan. And Danny can talk. So
yeah. Yep. I always I see him at Harborview Market, over by.
Yeah, we met over there a few times.
Yeah, shout out to Harborview Market.
Harborview, man. We've got a lot of our guests coming from Harborview because of Jake.
Yeah. It's a
awesome.
low-key gym over there.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
A lot
now
of
we just shouted it out. Everybody gonna be over there.
A lot of characters over there.
Oh yeah.
No, we got into some deep stuff with Danny, and then off the podcast, me and him, just when I see him, it always ends up being this
every
super
time.
Deep conversation.
Every time.
Yeah. But we're excited to have you on here. I checked out, you wrote a book too, called The Toughest Two, right?
Toughest Two.
Yeah. And I started, so Danny sent me your info. I Googled you. I checked out LinkedIn. I saw the book, right?
Yep.
I looked, as soon as I started reading the book, I read the beginning part before chapter 1 of it. It's called the epilogue or whatever it is, the forward.
Yeah.
So I read that about when you went to go into the game, took the shot, air ball, went back in for the layup, right?
Yep.
And then you flip the page and it's chapter 1, Bridgeport.
Yeah, I love that.
We got to get him on here.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, man. You can't tell a story, or I can't tell a story that doesn't include Bridgeport in it. I mean,
right.
It's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And then one other thing before I let you start talking is you're from Fayetteville, right?
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's where I was born. I mean,
which is J. Cole.
J. Cole, baby. Dude, that's our favorite rapper.
Yeah, I mean,
we've been to concerts. He's like our number
I went to
uno.
the Fayetteville concert.
Wow.
The J. Cole when the Forest Hill Drive, the ending.
Yeah.
The best
Wow.
Jay-Z came out. Drake came out. Jay-Z and Drake in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It's crazy.
That's nuts, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy. But yes, born in Fayetteville and but raised in Bridgeport for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So what's the give us the Johnnie Bird story, what's where it started at?
Johnnie Bird. I mean, my friends, they refer to me as JB, and born in Fayetteville to a military family, and so Fort Bragg is right there, and moved to Bridgeport, and been raised in Bridgeport, middle school, high school here, stayed in Connecticut, went to Uconn. Played basketball there. I walked on to the basketball team there. And for the people who don't understand what a walk-on is somebody that was not recruited to the team, but yet had to try out. And through my trials and tribulations there, that the book, The Toughest Two, is mainly about. It's not exclusively about me, but it is, based off of things that I've been through that I think could resonate with other people. And, going to college, being from the inner city, being dumped into Storrs, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It could be a culture shock, to say the least. And I was shocked, man. Going there, having nobody who looked like you, nobody who talks like you. You're not able to assimilate well. And being the introvert that I am, I definitely wasn't making things easier for myself by, being secluded.
Right.
And I struggled. Like a lot of people struggle in their first year of college, especially at a big college. But I struggled even more so because it was identity crisis for me. It was more like, who am I? What am I? At the time, I wasn't playing any sports. So you identify yourself as an athlete your whole life, graduate, and you thrust it off into the world. It's like, all right, figure out your stuff. And so I got the Storrs, and I wasn't quite ready to figure it all out yet. So, I messed around.
Did you go there with the intention of playing basketball?
No. I didn't go. I didn't want to go to Uconn at all. It wasn't on my list of schools to go to. I actually wanted to go back to North Carolina to go to UNC. Been a Tar Heel fan since day one. Since day one.
Right.
And but it didn't work out that way because I actually got in, but I wasn't able to matriculate because it just cost me. Now I'm out of state, not in state, because I live with my mom, who was in Bridgeport. So it was just a different family dynamic that caused me not to be able to go to UNC or the other schools I wanted to go to. So UConn was kind of like the throwaway school I went to, and I know that kind of comes off a certain way, but I'm just telling you how it was.
Yeah.
UConn wasn't the place I wanted to be, so I didn't go to orientation. I didn't read up on UConn. I didn't research. I wasn't following UConn basketball, nothing.
Yeah. Wow. You're just like going to college because you're like, this is what you do?
The deal was, since I got into UConn, the plan was to go there for a year. That's when my mother and my guidance counselor, we decided on to transfer to these other places that I wanted to go to. And I played baseball, I was playing basketball, I played football in high school. So it was like I was getting recruited at probably like lower D1, higher D2 type schools.
Right.
And I, in my mind, I thought if it's UNC or nothing. And so it was like I had a real like skewed version of what college sports was. So it was like, if I'm not playing here, I'm not playing at all.
Right.
And so I went to UConn not playing anything. I just kind of was going as a regular student. And yeah.
So how'd you go from just being like, all right, I'm not playing basketball here at UConn to being a walk-on basketball player?
So originally it started off like I was saying, you just kind of, you don't have any bearings about yourself while you're there. So I'm trying to figure out myself, what do I like doing? And basketball obviously was natural to me. But baseball actually was the sport I was better at. So I went out for the baseball team for UConn. And long story short there, they tried to transfer me over to their satellite campus, Avery Point, which I didn't know was what they did with their freshmen.
Yep.
I took it as a slight, like, yo, I'm a baller, man. I'm staying at stores. Like, if I'm not staying at stores, I don't even want to be here, and y'all telling me that
I got to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So I'm like, nah. If it's not stores, I'm not playing. And
but it is like their farm system, essentially, for the freshmen?
Right.
And
I didn't realize that coming in because I didn't know the politics of it all. Like, if I'm not playing
at every
my
level.
position, I'm not playing or whatever, I'll wait to play because I know there's seniors, there's seniority above you, but I'm not leaving. So that's what I thought. And then so I quit that. Then now you're in this like little zone where you quit baseball. You're just floundering with classes. I wasn't prepared for classes. I didn't do orientation, so I chose my classes late. I chose them late, which means you get stuck with like the worst classes.
Worst times.
And
worst professors.
Early classes, all that
so
stuff.
you get stuck with the worst times, the 8 a.m. classes, early morning classes, the worst ones. And so, yeah, I mean, I was flaking on those classes. And those classes are massive, too. They're like 100 kids in a class. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're not on time, you might as well not show up. Because there's no seating. You're not going to try to sift through, a bunch of people to sit in the middle. And everybody was prepared, and I wasn't. I had like a notebook. Everybody had like their laptops ready to go. They had a clicker ready for to answer the questions. I didn't have none of that stuff. I just was not prepared.
Yeah.
So I was just slow rolling my way to getting kicked out. And basketball came along, and I saw one of my friends who I used to hoop every night in the rec? The rec league.
Yeah.
The rec gym, and I was killing it there. Of course you're killing it. You're playing with a bunch of people who don't really play basketball.
Yeah. I know.
So I'm killing it there. But so one of my friends suggested to me that I try out for the team, and at the time I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you could try out. So I told him no, because I'm like, why would I even put myself up to that? For that rejection. And but he was going, so he coaxed me into going with him. I went with him. I was originally going to watch him play, and they told me that I either had to leave or play. So I started playing, and I was killing it. I mean, the tryouts was a breeze, but it was when the real Uconn Monstar team came outside. Once we practiced, once we tried out, the trials were easy. But like an hour later, we waited in the gym for the team to come in because they wanted you to play with the team. This is where Rudy Gay.
Yeah, I was going to ask, who would you play with? Yeah.
At that time, it was Rudy Gay. It was 2005, so it was Rudy Gay.
Wow.
Denham Brown. Marcus Williams.
Ballers, NBA guys. Rudy Gay's still in the league. I love Rudy. I thought he'd be better than he was. But
and all these dudes, I mean, you see him up close. They are who you think they
Yeah.
are. You know what I mean? Like 6'9",
Tall, yeah.
guarding you off.
Monsters,
I couldn't get
yeah.
past half court. Like,
Yeah.
it was that bad.
Yeah.
And so it was a shock to me, and I'm like, whoa. I like that. The difference between high school and college is massive in terms of just speed and strength of the game. And I couldn't get past them. I couldn't score. I couldn't get a shot off. It was just bad news. But I wasn't gonna give up in terms of, because being from Bridgeport, you got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're one of the best, and so I was ready to take on the hooping challenge.
You had the heart.
But I wasn't ready to take on the politics of it all. Which
Yeah.
was, you're a walk-on. There's a place in the system where you have to stay inside. And for me, walk-ons felt like it was at the bottom of the
Yeah,
totem pole.
it's trash.
You're just rebounding and
Where was the
getting
switch for you?
water.
Like, where was the switch for you where you went from like, I don't want to do this. You show up to tryouts, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm doing this.
Once
like,
if you're a baller, once you step on the court, it's over.
Okay.
Like, all other things are out the window. Class is out the window. Relationships are out the window.
Everything.
We're balling. But again, it was outside things that were kind of out of my control that forced me to quit basketball as well. So I quit baseball, and I eventually quit basketball because they had me dressing in different locker rooms. They had us not.
Yeah, like,
it just felt
fucking like you're second class citizen almost, bro. Right?
It felt so
It's
like
crazy.
Like you're here, but you're not a part of us. Like, you're outside the bubble. And so I didn't like that feeling. I wasn't game to play that kind of ball with them. Either I'm balling and have a fair opportunity to do stuff. And I wasn't even asking like for playing time or anything. I knew that was a stretch.
You just want to be a part of the
just
team.
wanted, like, if we're here, why are you segregating us?
Yeah.
Right.
How
many other walk-ons were there?
At the time, there were 4 other ones.
Okay, including yourself.
Including myself.
Right.
So it was 4 of us, and I guess they knew the deal. So they were just more happy to be there.
They were like able to be like, okay, yeah, I played basketball at Uconn for the rest of their life type thing, and
That's what they were gearing up for, and that was not my goal.
Right.
So I didn't care about that. I wanted to have opportunity to ball out, and just give me a shot.
Right.
That's all it was. And so I quit the team, and once I did that, so now I quit baseball, I've quit basketball, all in my first semester, and I was like, all right.
total identity crisis,
There's
right?
nothing here for me. I don't like it here. I want to go back home. Bridgeport is where I know I'm comfortable there. My friends are back home. But so I ended up getting on academic probation 2 semesters in a row. And when you do that, you get kicked out of school automatically. So I ended up going home over the summer. But I was happy. In my mind, I was doing what I wanted to do, was just get back to home. But if anybody who's done that transition again from high school to college, that first year is massive because it goes from you hanging out with your friends all the time, playing Xbox or PlayStation and going to the mall, to that next year, all of a sudden people got responsibilities, they got jobs, they got kids, people were passing away. I had 3 friends pass away that summer. My high school is literally across the street from a jail, so people were going from high school to prison.
Central
so
High
it
School.
just was like, it was a massive turnaround where it was like I didn't even recognize home anymore. So
what happened? You got back here and had another identity crisis?
so I got back here and had an identity crisis.
Yeah, that's
so I'm
so
like,
funny.
I'm trying to get back to. So now I'm trying to figure out, like, hey, I'm knocking on the doors of the old colleges that were recruiting me for baseball and basketball before. But now it's a year removed, and I'm a whole different person. Their programs are different now. They might have different coaches, so I got a lot of no's.
Yeah, things turn around quick
You're
after
a year out of it now.
So
Yeah.
I'm out the loop. I don't have recent tape to show them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my recruiting prospects were nil, basically. So my only option was to get back to UConn, and I had to go grovel to the dean and my counselors and show that I will turn it around and all that stuff. So I'm doing all this stuff for a place that I didn't care to be at, but you got to put that face on.
Yeah.
And but once I got back, I had a real conversation with my one of my counselors. Shout out to Carl.
Shout out Carl.
And Carl Dean, actually, he had one simple, like, I'm the kind of person who's just like straight talk, and
Right.
he straight talked to me. He was like, listen, you can go home and you could be like, some of the people that you've seen kind of regress, or you can come here. You can not play basketball, but at the end of the day, you need to get this degree. And so I was like, yeah, I need to do something. I can't be sitting on my hands. So I got back in with a plan. But he said you need a game plan, and we mapped out a plan, and the basketball was not in that plan. But once I started progressing with the classwork, I was like, all right, let me try this basketball. Now I know what to expect and how to maneuver. So you get that. It's like playing Mario or something where you go through one of the levels and you die, but now you know what to expect on the next go around. So you kind of go through it a little more carefully.
So sophomore year now.
Yeah, sophomore year, I'm going back and I'm in. And I know what to expect now. So
even with your classes, I'd say you even know what to expect. So you're ready to go. Yeah.
Shout out to Carl. He helped me pre-register.
To get the better times,
a better schedule that was conducive to me. I also knew that if I were gonna play basketball again, that because basketball in college is not like high school where you have practice after school at like 5 or whatever, and then that's that. College basketball, you have practice all day, any time of the day. Sometimes we always had to wake up early to go eat with each other. So you had to go wake up early, go eat breakfast. Then you either had class or you had to go weight lift or you had to
individuals.
Do something. Individuals.
Always.
And then you have practice. Practice could be at 12 on Tuesday, it could be at 2 on Wednesday, all during class time. And that's another thing that messed me up before is I was having classes. I would have practice during classes, but I would choose to go to practice and not go to class. And
how does that work out with like teachers and stuff? Do you get like being an athlete? Do you get a little pass?
Again, back in the freshman year, I thought it was like blue chips, where it's like I'm on. All you got to show is the ID. I'm on the team, and that goes back to the team not vouching for you. Therefore, the teachers don't really vouch for you.
Right.
If you're segregated within the team and they don't really acknowledge you, the teachers don't really care.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now it's like, all right, I'm prepping myself to be. I'm preemptively taking classes around what I know to be the schedule, and that way I don't have to have these awkward conversations with the teacher. Not until I'm ready to, I'm ingratiated into the team and I'm acknowledged as such. And eventually, you progress. I started at the bottom, and then it's like through hard work, a couple of lucky breaks, I was able to get what I was desperately looking for, which was, a solidified spot on the team. Get the jersey. First and foremost was to get a jersey. As a walk-on, you're not guaranteed a jersey.
Oh wow.
And then second was to get a jersey with your name on it.
Was it hard to go back sophomore year to like walk onto the team again?
Start over because this progression that you get, jersey, name on jersey, playing time, seat on the bench, so on and so forth, all starts when you start your. It's like a timeline you got to go through.
Got it.
And when I quit, I had to restart. So I had the people that stayed on the year before were ahead of me, even though we started at the same time.
They already had their jersey.
So now they have what I was looking for, but I wasn't patient enough. And so I had to start over. And that meant that there was more people on the team and not enough spots. So there's only like 11 and 12 spots on the bench, on the roster that they could actively put out to the NCAA. And if you're a walk-on, let's say there's like 15 of us.
Yeah.
So I was 15th.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on anything. I wasn't on any media guides. I wasn't on any NCAA rosters. So when I would tell people back home, I'm on the team, they wouldn't believe it because they wouldn't see it anymore. So
they're like, there goes crazy JJ.
lying out right? But
whatever, JJ.
You gotta fake it till you make it. So I was out the bookstore. I copped some Uconn gear. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro.
But it was a lot, but it was worth it. And if you read The Toughest Two, you'll see more. There's things that I'm purposely not putting.
Right.
The book is much more in depth.
Yeah,
you had time to plot it out, and it's easy. It's an easy read too. Just for anybody listening, like
that was key.
Yeah,
that was super key.
Yeah.
Originally, it was like 400 pages, but we chopped it down. Like 130 right now.
Got it. So
So how did it go from? Did it go from? Like, did you eventually you got PT and stuff, right? And you eventually got on. So like, where'd that
changed? So when I went from not playing at all, I'm telling you, it was a bunch of days, early mornings, late nights. You're still a college student at the end of the day, so you got to maneuver the college life. And
I know,
this
it's
basketball life, and when you're a walk-on, it's all on you. When you're a scholarship athlete,
they set up times.
They set it up for you. They give you tutors. They set your classes for you, so you never have conflicts. And if you do, they know the teachers. They pretty much set you up so you don't have to think about nothing.
Seriously,
they just want you to win games.
But for walk-ons, we have to set all those things up ourselves.
Got it.
And even more so, a person from the inner city who's first generation going to school. I don't have any guidance around me that's telling me how to maneuver these things. So it's like I'm just winging it and not doing a good job by winging it at my first year.
Yeah.
So after I finally I worked my way to getting like noticed. I had to bust ass in practice a lot. Like, You have to.
You had to be there early.
You had to be there early.
You had to be there after.
Shots. I was lifting. For my sophomore year to my junior year was the biggest transformation. I got a little taller. I got bigger. I was just in the gym all the time. I became a gym rat. I had to because they had to see my face. They had to know I was serious. And I have they looked at me as someone who quit the previous year.
Yeah.
Right? They were like, he's about to
quit again.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So I had that stigma on me too. So I had
Yeah.
to shake that. I had so much shit working against me.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was me. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't them. So I had to figure out my way. And then, like I said, through hard work, consistency, and a couple lucky breaks.
Persistence.
One of the lucky breaks that I caught was a couple of teammates. They got caught doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing in a place that they wasn't supposed to be at, and they got suspended for a game. So it was 2 point guards, which was my position. So I was like fifth in line in point guards. So it's like what team needs 5 point guards? But like I said, a couple lucky breaks. 2 point guards went down, and one was injured, and then we had a game like 2 days from there, so like someone had to play.
Yeah.
And they tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Are you ready?" And it happened to be a nationally televised game. It was we're playing Indiana on CBS. Yeah. And the rest was history. I got in. I balled it. It was the loudest place it just so happens we were at the loudest place I've ever been at. And because their gym is like built for acoustics or something.
Right.
Like
to make it sound like and feel like they're on you.
I mean, I just played my role. You know what I mean? I wasn't in there to go shoot up a storm and get crazy. It wasn't gonna be like a crazy Rudy story, but it was like
moving the ball, playing defense, doing your thing.
Solid.
Yeah.
And that's what I was. I was solid.
Was this the air ball?
No. Okay. That one was solid. I didn't even take a shot that game. I literally was just trying to facilitate.
Got it.
And then fast forward down the road a couple of games. I even started a few games because the coach, now he knows you. Now he trusts you.
Right.
And whenever star All-American point guard
is
not doing what he's supposed to do, hey, Bird, come in.
Yeah.
And I'm ripping off. I'm running.
Yeah.
And now you're just in the back of their mind. And you're a walk-on with the crowd section. Student sections are like the lifehood of all college basketball. Yo, once you get good with them, and I was great with them, they was chanting your name. Now you getting in just off of the strength of them. Bird. Now it's life. And now ball is life. And now that changes your whole psyche. Now you identify yourself as this, and now you're able to kind of enjoy the college experience. And it was like a 180 from my, for junior year and the freshman year that I was there. And then it turned into
as you got to like playing time and stuff. Did the team dynamic change towards you too? Like, were you more included in the team?
You get more now. All of a sudden, you got a locker in the locker room. And now all of a sudden you have a jersey, you have your own number, because originally walk-ons shared a jersey. We all had the number 35, I think it was.
That's so lame.
Yeah.
Come on. There's so many numbers.
35.
Yeah, come on.
And it's a weird number, too. It's a good number. No. So mine was, then I got 40, which I was like, 40? That's not a balling number, but I'm going to make it a balling number.
Yeah.
And so it was that. And then my junior year, my senior year, I got 10. I got to choose 10.
Nice.
And then 10 became my number, and then got my name on the back. And
so junior and senior year, did you get any, like, you were playing a lot?
I was playing enough. I wouldn't say it was a lot.
Okay.
Right. He's getting time.
Yeah.
The coach knows him. It's a different atmosphere. I totally get where you're coming from, dude. It's awesome. It's beautiful. I played at UB. Like, I mean, I didn't have the similar kind of story as you. I wasn't a walk-on, but I wasn't getting recruited.
Yeah.
I had to go play those pickup runs. I had to go show these coaches, like, hey, dude, I want to hoop. You know.
You just got to
So
ball.
I get it. That's it.
At the end of the day, it's not a different game than you played your whole life. It's just different dynamics.
Yeah.
You're in a bigger gym. The lights are a little brighter or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, it's basketball.
Right. It's an adjustment. It's like you're leveling up, and it's like, all right, now I got to, like, adjust myself to be at this level. You know what I mean? If you think you can. If you can't, then, and some people can't,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, so you get there, you're doing your thing. What's your favorite game, maybe? Favorite moment on the court?
My favorite moment. We were playing in the Paradise Gym. It's in a tournament in the Virgin Islands.
Dope.
During Feast Week, when during November they have Feast Week where they have a bunch of tournaments, and we were ranked number 1 preseason. And so we go out to the Virgin Islands, ranked number 1. Virgin Islands is like second world country, so it's like
a lot of resorts.
But then the people, they kind of like, they don't really see people from these states that much, so they don't know who's who.
So you're Michael Jordan.
So I'm Diddy out there.
Yeah, he said Diddy.
I'm Diddy out there. So you get off the plane and there's like people rushing to you. They just want you to like just acknowledge
just in,
me.
just in case you're like gonna be a future NBA player. They're like, let me get that
autograph. I'm doing all that. They don't know who I am. I don't know. I'm just signing whatever. I remember we went to KFC that night, and it was like once they heard we were like the city heard we were in KFC, they all came. Like, so awesome. Now we had to get like escorted out of KFC. But the game was it was the first game that I started, which was I think we were playing Miami, I want to say, and them were West Virginia, one of the two. I forget who it was, but we were playing them. They do their normal like our routine for warming up, and then they did the starting lineups, and they called everybody except for the point guard position, which at that time was AJ Price, I think. And but then they said my name. They said Johnnie Bird. And
you didn't know?
I didn't know. He didn't know. No one knew. Apparently, the guy, when you have to write in your starting lineups, and this to just be in peace of mind, be in the back of somebody's head, he accidentally wrote my name, the coach. And because I was balling that whole week too, I was amped up.
You were in his head.
I was just in his head. Yeah. So he accidentally put my name. But once they call you out, you gotta go out.
Right. So
it's a surprise to everybody on the bench. So I was like, fuck it, I'm out here. I go, I take your warm ups, I go. But now when your name is called, you have to start. So I went out and we got the tip. We played like 2. I thought I was gonna get immediately pulled.
Yeah.
Nah, I paused for a little bit because I held my composure. I didn't go wild.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen walk-ons get in the game and freeze up. I've seen walk-ons get in the game and go crazy.
Too much, yeah. Do too much, yeah.
And since I've already established myself as, you know, someone who just wants to hoop.
Right.
They let me rock for a little bit. So that was the first time I was like, all right. And again, it was another way to showcase to the staff that like they could trust me.
Right.
And so that was my favorite moment. And then but then down the line, once we got back home, we started playing more intensely. Then I would get like in the games every now and again. And my first bucket was the premise of the toughest two.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did that air ball feel like when you?
So I mean, any baller know, man. When you're sitting on the bench, it's cold.
Yep.
You try to warm yourself, you try to stay hyped, but you get in the game,
you feel like you need oil.
Yeah, it's like you be in the game for 40, and the gyms are cold too.
Yeah.
You know, contrary to popular belief, people think the gyms are like hot. And like, when you're playing these big airy gyms, usually they're not basketball arenas. They're like some other arena, and they put a court on top of it. Yep. So we played in the XL Center, which is a hockey arena originally. So there's ice underneath so it's cold in there is what I'm saying. And so you're sitting in there just waiting, and then it's like, and then you get randomly called. Yeah. And it's like, 30 minutes into the game, and you're sitting at the end of the bench chopping it up about whatever y'all talking about.
Literally.
It's like, Bird,
the
get
girl
in.
across over there. Like, you see that chick over there?
You see her over there? Yeah. It's like, Bird, get in. And I was like, oh, okay. So now you get like shocked that you're going in. You got to get your bearings right.
Yeah.
Somebody pass you the rock, and you wide. I usually try not to shoot immediately when I get in the game. I want to run up and down a few times, get warm, maybe get an easy layup, maybe get a free throw.
Right.
Hell no. I got this game, he gets me in, I get put right at the baseline, and I hit those all day long when I'm warmed up. But I wasn't warmed up, dog. My mind said I'm ready, but my body was like, yo, we not ready yet. So it was an air ball, but, you know, that led to, I thought he was going to take me out as an air ball. He let me rock a little longer.
Nice.
Got a steal, and then that's when, you know, the first JB bucket happened. I got a N1 layup.
Dope.
Yeah.
Nice.
U-Heart.
Awesome.
Nice.
So what moving through that, you get out of Uconn, and then what's the
another identity crisis.
I bet.
I love it.
Because you're now, this goes to all people who go to college. You're thrusted into the real world. And it's like, I was coming out of college on the heels of an economic downturn. So it was like that 2009 happened. And then like 2009, 2010, 2011, it was like still. You get in this job field, now you got to find a job, right? And try to like figure out. And the easiest transition from being an athlete to the real world is to be a coach. but I didn't want to be a coach.
Yeah, you're like, I can still hoop.
I don't want to. So I was like, I'm gonna go to grad school, and I went, or I can go play overseas. 'Cause
Yeah.
I did get a little. Just being on UConn's team, they're gonna look at everybody on the roster.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I had some offers to play overseas, and I weighed them, and I was like, I could go play overseas.
Or I
I've
can
heard
start my career.
a lot of bad stories about people playing. I mean, they play like I've heard people make like $6,000, be there for 6 months. You know what I mean? It's not, and then you got to come home.
Yeah.
And what are you doing for the rest of the year?
Your life.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want to go chase a dream for 10 plus years, knowing, at the end of the day, I think that was the highlight of my basketball career. I'm not going to go past that. So I made the decision not to do it, not to go overseas and just start my career.
Yeah.
And but doing that meant you got to go in this job force, and when you identify yourself as an athlete and not like a person in academia,
Right.
it's like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. I'm just gonna take whatever jobs come. And at that time, there was so many jobs that were being taken up by people who lost their job due to the recession.
Right.
So it's a lot of older people with experience taking the jobs that the college students would have normally had. And so now you're just like the trickle down effect. You're taking jobs that people who probably graduated high school would have had.
Yeah.
And a lot of these jobs are menial jobs, so it's just like you're just trying to figure it out. And I did that. I started a little training on the side just to make some more money.
Like training kids, hoops.
Training kids in hoops, and that's where I met two of my mentors. And those two people changed my whole trajectory, and probably why I'm sitting right here, which is shout out to Pete Borowski and Larry Ocean.
Shout out Petey, Larry.
Two old white men who I was training their kids in basketball. So I would go to their homes in Westport and Weston, train their kids. And afterwards, I just developed a rapport with the parents. And they were in the field that I was trying to get into, or I thought I wanted to do, which was financial advising.
Okay.
And I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew they made a lot of money.
You saw the crib. You saw them chilling, living good. It's like, what do you do?
What do y'all do? All right, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were gracious enough to
yeah.
hear me out and set me up on appointments with.
Well, probably
other
hearing
people.
that
Wow.
like you played at
Yeah.
basketball and an elite team, right?
Right.
And that you're a team player,
Right.
You know,
Of course, hoops.
that's a lot for
definitely
you, yeah.
Speak volumes for you, and being at Uconn spoke even more louder. And going Final Four and being a part of like big time basketball is just, it's different.
Right.
Yeah.
But to my own detriment, I wasn't leading conversations with that. I was kind of reluctant because I didn't feel like it warranted the kind of conversation
Because you weren't like a Rudy Gay or
Exactly.
whatever. But dude, it's like the percentage of people that actually play college sports is
pretty small, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all
Especially
levels.
D1, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like-
All levels. It's crazy, dude. You wouldn't even believe it. It's nuts.
Yeah, and that was my issue though. Again, being back from Bridgeport, and I think that I just had this chip on my shoulder that because I wasn't like the number one guy on the team, it didn't really count. And from the years of being kind of not acknowledged, so you're like you don't feel worthy enough. So I would go into these interviews, and that's all dudes wanted to talk about was basketball, and I was reluctant to talk about it. So it was like I wasn't getting the jobs because I wasn't doing what they wanted to do in terms of talking about basketball. And then so I learned the hard way that lead with what people like. If you're trying to get in a certain position, like lead with your best foot.
Yeah.
So I had to, it took me a while to recognize that I had a unique story that other people were interested in.
right.
And once I started leading with that, like for instance, I wasn't getting these jobs in the
Financial
financial
area.
advising. I would go to Morgan Stanley. I would go to all these places, and they would just be like, "Yeah." So it'd be 40 minutes of basketball talk, nothing about the job, or ask me how Calhoun was as a coach. Everybody asks me that. How was he a coach? I'm like, he's the same person you would think he is.
Yeah.
So I had to find my niche and find my fit. And one of my mentors suggested that I write a book or put my story on paper. He didn't say a book originally. He said, put it down on paper, like write it out so you can articulate it, so you can get your feelings out about it, because you still, obviously it's still, you
feel a type of
feel
way
some
about
type
it, yeah.
of way about it. So I was like, I'm not about to write in a diary, dog. Like, come
Yeah,
on
yeah.
now.
The macho man.
I gotta go get a job. And so eventually I got asked probably 3 more times by 3 different people about my story, and then I coached this AAU team, and one of the dads on the AAU team. So you spend a lot of time with the parents after the games because the AAU weekends be like so long.
Right.
They play
Yeah.
like 13 games in 2 days.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's why these guys have knee problems.
Exactly.
in the NBA.
These kids are hurting because they have a lot of miles on them before
Yeah.
they even get to
Literally.
high school. So I'm talking to one of the dads, and he's like, yeah, I Googled you because I wanted to know who was coaching my kid, and I found out all these things about you. Can you tell me about your story? I tell him over lunch one afternoon, and he's like, you got to put this in a book, man. And
Yeah.
or at least some version of it. And I was like, nah, I've already, went down that path, or talked to people about it. I'm not gonna do it. It's too much. And he was like, no, I'll get you a ready team. Again, I'm around affluent people as well. This
Right.
AAU team
Right.
is based out of Stanford Greenwich area.
Yep.
These people got bread. So he had connections. He put me on with I had a conversation with a couple of people that allowed me to think a little bigger in terms of overall scope of a project. It wasn't a book originally. It was just writing it all stuff down. That's why I said it was like 300-400 pages. And but once you get going,
Right.
it's easy. And editing team chopped it down.
Nice.
And
That's
turned it
the
into a book.
shittiest part.
Yeah. So they chopped it down and turned it into something that was readable, digestible. That was one of my big things.
Easy read. Yeah.
I want it to be easy. I don't want people to think, that this is some type of intimidating book or anything. And I didn't want people to think it was a biography necessarily. But I think it's an easy read. It's like I said, 130 pages. It's basically 4 chapters, which is like 4 quarters in a basketball game. And it changed my whole trajectory of because I was just gonna work these menial jobs.
And you thought it was
whatever.
just like I was just walk on a
Yeah.
Uconn, and like you didn't think it was gonna be this crazy inspiring story, but
Right.
I mean, you're the story of the underdog, that
Yeah.
that's not giving up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, it's amazing. Is it crazy to look back now and be like, damn, like how you couldn't see it
Yeah,
then, but now it's like
Yeah.
looking back,
'Cause-
it's like,
'cause-
damn, I ended up in the space I'm supposed to be.
years later, I'm still talking about
Right.
it. You know what I mean? And it's still like
You wrote it 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, so it's like it is one of the biggest things that people want to talk about. And I've leaned into it a little more.
Right.
It's allowed me to get into doors that I wouldn't originally be able to get into. And then I can now have a conversation that I want to have. So if you want to talk to me about UConn basketball, sure, we could talk about that. And then we can change, after a while, we get to know each other, we develop a rapport, and now we can start talking about other things.
Whatever, yeah.
Right.
And that's what exactly happened. That's how DOMODE came along.
Yeah. So tell
Tell us about DOMODE.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know much about it. I
All
want.
right, well,
Yeah.
get familiar with this.
Yeah.
All right, so off the heels of writing the book you have a little speaking tour.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even like calling it a speaking tour. It was like a little.
You go to a bookstore, talk about it,
Yeah.
read a little bit of it, sign some books, right? Stuff like
sign
that.
some books. You go talk about it, and then I noticed the shift from the conversation was less about the book and more about people asking me how I did all the things I was doing. More about like the values and morality of like how'd you push through everything.
Yeah, the mindset and shit.
And then it's like, to me, it was just kind of like, I don't know, I just was doing it. But to them, they were like,
There's something more.
There's something bigger than just doing it. It's, you obviously have some type of mental fortitude that's beyond the norm. And I'm like, if you say so. But then it started to change the conversation. I've noticed that people are talking about like their dreams and their passions and what they wanted to do. And, at first a lot of people asked me, how do you write a book? And then it turned into like, how do you stay grounded while doing X, Y, Z?
Right.
And next thing you know, they're asking me questions about bigger life things. And I'm feeling like, oh, I like these conversations. I like meeting different people, having different conversations about passion. And so DOMODE came about was because as I was doing the book tour, it was my hashtag that I was using to basically group all the things I was doing.
Right.
So it was just a couple dozen posts on Instagram that had DOMODE hashtag. And then once you get in front of enough people, they start using the hashtag. So the community grew. And fast forward to now, it's like 12,000 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Nice, dude.
And it grew, and it's mainly about people just stop talking about doing whatever they want to do, stop overthinking it, stop planning because you planned enough, and just go out there and do it. So that's the premise of DOMODE is less talking, more doing.
I love that.
And so it grew to be something organically, which I love, and people kind of took it and used it as their own, which is dope. And fast forward to today, through several different iterations. I don't want you guys thinking that it was something that was happened overnight. Right. But now DOMODE is an aspirational apparel brand where we have clothing that is aspiration and inspirational, and just dope.
Yeah,
looks good too.
And we have something called Project DOMODE where we highlight doers. We highlight people that are doing dope things in their community.
Okay.
And
cool.
So
we got a few people that we could introduce you to from the podcast. Obviously,
Let's do it.
Danny.
Yeah.
We have another guy that came on here, Mike Evans from Full Court Piece, who
we want to connect.
Said you guys had emailed actually a couple times.
He's from New Cane?
Weston.
Weston. Yeah, I know Mike Evans.
That's it's a homie of ours. Mike actually.
He was just on last weekend, so
so
we
could plug you two together.
Let's do it, man.
We're actually going to Cuba.
We're going to Cuba with him.
He does it.
Yeah.
Cuba. You got to listen. We'll send you his podcast.
He does it with Brian, Coach K.
I don't know. We haven't
probably
met.
Has some connections.
Yeah, we haven't met.
Coach K does the piece. Is it Stanford Piece? And this sounds like Full Court Piece.
Full Court Piece.
Which is
he refurbishes basketball courts like in the projects.
Yeah.
You know, around.
Oh, we gotta get connected.
Oh, dude, no, trust me, it's dope. Yeah, you're gonna connect. We're gonna connect you guys.
Let's do that. Yeah. I got some plans on Q notes.
Hell yeah. Shout out Q.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely connect you with him. Again, I think he knows you already, and you know.
Yeah, I know of him. I don't think I've ever met him. No.
He's a man. You guys will get along.
Dope.
Yeah.
Fine.
Dope.
Just
so
fine.
what's the bigger plan now?
What's up next?
So all things JB right now is DOMODE. DOMODE. So the pivot that we made with DOMODE, because I was trying to figure out how to legitimize it as a business. It took me a little while. I'm a turtle and all this stuff. As you can tell from my stories, I gotta go through the fire a few times to learn my lessons. And,
sounds like some people we know too.
So started DOMODE a while ago, but it took me a while to figure out exactly what I wanted to be. So I would tell people what it was and tell my friends, and then get upset that they're not really supporting it. And what I had to realize is that I wasn't articulating what it was clearly. It was confusing to them as to what it was. And rightfully so, because I was saying it in a confusing way because I didn't know exactly what it was. I was just trying to basically leverage this thing that I backed myself into. And but over the quarantine, ironically, the silver lining, it's bad news out in the world, but don't get me wrong, I try to look at things half full, and the half full thing was I had the opportunity to sit there, develop what my values, what I cared about, what I wanted things to be at in my life, and DOMODE is definitely a big part of that. And we solidified our direction, which was becoming aspirational apparel. And that's easy enough for anybody to know what that is. It's clothes, basically. And but when you think DOMODE, I want you to think Nike. I want you to think Adidas, because it's yes, it has some dope apparel, but we also have that social side of it where the doers come into play, because that's ultimately what it is the cornerstone of DOMODE is doing. And you have to be a person that has persistence and be consistent to do. And we want to highlight those people that are doing.
Not talking, just walking.
Just get out there and do.
Well done is always better than well said.
Yeah.
Facts. Hell yeah.
How many people talk about doing a podcast? How many people, you
so
guys
many.
set it up, you got it going, you reach out to people.
Yeah.
These are all, you're doers in your own right. Everybody
Appreciate
that's out there that's doing something and sticking with it. You know what I mean? That's a big part of doing, because, a lot of people say they want to do stuff, and even some start. Not a lot of people stick with it, though.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a commitment. It's like, all right, we're gonna rent a room.
Yep.
We gotta buy all this equipment, set everything up.
It's not easy, man.
No.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
And
but
I
the
know
pieces
that.
came together
perfectly.
You got to watch
Yeah.
out for the signs and follow those.
The omens.
Oh, for sure.
The omens.
What
Divine destiny.
Yeah. If Danny was in, I'm sure he brought up the Alchemist.
Dude, that's my
We talked about
it. Funny. So my brother, he told me that me and Danny are going to become best friends because he knows how spiritual I am and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
you guys are brothers?
Yeah.
We're
stepbrothers.
Since we were like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, brothers.
Yeah, exactly. And
people don't believe us though, because if you look at like
Yeah.
him and me,
Tim.
like we just look so much different. Like
Yeah.
blonde hair,
Yeah.
dark hair. It's like
My thing is whenever we meet someone new, I always say that I look like my mom and he looks like our dad. You know what I mean? Just, you know,
Yeah.
it's just funny.
That's dope though.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Danny with the Alchemist. Like
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about on the podcast. I mean,
I read
Divine
The
Destiny,
Alchemist
man.
2 weeks ago, I read it.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you love it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the quarantine really has forced me to into solitude because I wasn't going outside. This is the most I'm coming outside and interacting with people. And
Thank you.
And I felt like I got to use this time wisely, man. I mean, at first I was going stir crazy, but then I said, you know, this is the opportunity. Everyone keeps complaining, or me, I kept complaining about not having time to do this,
Right.
not having time to do that, and now all of a sudden I got all the time to do it.
Right.
So here goes, and I went into deep thought, man,
Yeah.
and I read a lot of books. I meditated. I gained clarity because of it. And The Alchemist is, I'm in a space where The Alchemist was just right to be read. Like, had I read The
Yeah.
Alchemist a few years back, it wouldn't have resonated like
Yeah.
how it is now.
I mean,
yeah, like I read it in high school
Yep.
or college, like in like, you know, assigned to me, and I read it and I didn't get, you know, I didn't
Yeah.
get anything from it. And then when I was talking to Danny when he was coming on the podcast, he was like talking about The Alchemist, and before he came on the podcast, I was like, all right, I'm gonna read it, and it's like way different perspective, like just
I mean,
everything. Like I read into everything, you know, and like really related to
This
it.
year has been super weird. I'm not gonna hold you.
Dude,
crazy.
Just what
But-
you were saying though, like the COVID hit and you were like, damn, like I have all this
Yep.
time. I realized there's two types of people during this.
Yes.
There's COVID hit and I'm using this as an excuse.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna sit
I'm going to cry.
Netflix, I'm
Yeah.
gonna, you know, why
Yeah.
me, all this
Yep.
stuff that you can come up with in your head, or it's COVID hit and I'm utilizing this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm
yeah.
taking this as time that I could use to grow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna focus on a business. I'm
Yep.
gonna focus on whatever it is, and like, how can I use
How-
this free time?
to improve and grow.
I mean, it's binary, right? It's you're either gonna do or you're not. And all the stuff that you got in the back of your mind that you say you want to do, you got to put. You know, the first step is taking the first step.
Right.
And that's usually the hardest step for a lot of people is take that leap, and they think they got to go jump out the window and give up all other things in order to take that step. And in reality, it could be a baby step. It could be,
and that's
But
I always say
gotta
baby steps add up to, you know, large leaps and bounds. You know,
one of the books I read during the quarantine is The Compound Effect, and it's essentially saying a lot of little day-to-day things that you do are the things that are going to compound to be the bigger, like
making your bed.
You're not going to making your bed was
Right.
actually one of them.
Yep, exactly.
And,
Every morning.
Jordan Peterson was talking about that, and I think that people they tend, and I'm people in this example as well.
Right.
I've done it myself plenty of times.
Yep.
I just got around to not doing it, which is you trick yourself into thinking that the steps need to be way bigger or massive than they need to be in order to get going. And you'll always hold yourself back because of that, because it's like, yo, I don't have, if I came out, like for instance, we just dropped our first launch for DOMODE
Nice.
in terms of apparel. We did it about 4 weeks ago, and it was great. It took a lot to get there,
Right.
but it was great. And had I sat there and say, you know what, if I don't make $50,000 off of my first drop, then I got chalk it up as a failure, then I would have overassessed what I needed to do for a win,
Right.
and would have never got going. Or I would have quit after the first launch. When in reality, it's like, no,
Everything's learning
you
experience.
got to get it out there to learn the process first and foremost. And if you're anything like me, you got to go through the process at least 4 or 5 times. And then you can tighten it up, figure out where you can get better at, incorporate people who can help you in the places you're not so good at. And
Right.
then you got something cooking. But you
Yeah.
got to get going first.
Yeah.
And that comes back to probably basketball, like that team function. Like,
Yep.
you need the team. Like, you know how to work with other people
I
probably
could have
really
easily
well.
called it a career when I quit the first time. I could have not tried out again. I could have, put my ego in front of everything and been like, you know what, I don't want to go
Ego is a
into
dangerous
this.
thing.
I don't want to go back into this. And it almost stopped me. It almost was the
Like your
reason-
pride.
It almost was my demise, but I let it get the best of me my first go around. But I came back thanks to people like Carl. My mom, just people in your corner who are
Yeah.
able to like
Recenter you.
bring you back, and then that's a super super important thing is to not be so prideful that you don't listen, that your ears are closed, man. Because you got some people have a macro perspective of what you're doing. Sometimes you be so involved in yourself that you're not able to really see, in front of you.
Right.
Yeah, like when you're going through something, sometimes it's hard to see it from the outside. You got to look to the people that are around you and be open-minded enough to hear what they're saying to you. Yeah.
Right.
You can't see the omens if you don't have your eyes.
Yeah.
Dude, no, seriously,
For
man. And that's the thing. It's like, going back to COVID-19, it's like COVID-19 hit for this right here, right? We saw each other at Moco, remember?
Yep,
so COVID-19 hit. I link up with Gary again to Moco. I'm doing contracting work with my uncle before I was doing ESPN camera work, whatever, blah, blah. I was half in, half out with this.
Yeah.
Half in, half out. But COVID hit. It's like, do I want to go all in or do I want to go live that other life that I don't even want to live?
Right.
And so and now we're here. You follow the omens, you keep pushing through, and then the energy lines up, everything lines up, and then it can't even stop. It's like a force won't stop.
What I've noticed, because I've had this complaint about myself, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it when I would do the speaking, is when you get going, let's say you muster up the energy to get going.
Yeah.
And one of your fears is like, are people going to support me? Are they going to like it? So on and
Judgment.
so forth. And it's like, initially what happens, and I heard it from enough people to know that it's just not me, is that no, people are not going to support you. You are going to fall. You're going to have downfalls. There's going to be pitfalls. There's ebbs and flows to everything that you do. So you got to be mindful that that's a part of it. But if you keep going, if you keep being persistent, if you keep trucking along, if you keep doing, then the universe will conspire in your favor.
Facts.
Like it will do what's necessary to make you win, because you've shown like it's a give and take. You gotta give up a lot in order for you to be able to be prosperous on the other end. Like the universe gotta see that you all in. Right. And once it sees that, once you paid that price, you're able to reap the rewards of that. But you got to pay a price. There's a toll to be paid.
Yeah, I know.
And not a lot of people want it.
Do you do morning affirmations or affirmations at night affirmations at all?
I don't do affirmations. But what I've started to do is write down my thoughts, and I wrote down my values for the first time ever in my life. I didn't find a significance in it until more recently. But once I did that because writing down your values has allowed me to create like a blueprint of what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not willing to accept. And if you're following your values consistently, then the compound effect will allow for you to, all right, at the end of 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, I made enough decisions using this as my guiding star that I feel comfortable where I'm at. Because ultimately all we want to do is be happy. Regardless of what we're doing as a profession, you just want to be happy. But you got to figure out what happiness means to you first.
And if you can get the best of both worlds, your career, being happy in your career and your life, then
I think your career comes secondary though, in terms of meaning. What I mean by that is that if you define what your definition of happiness is, or what your core values are,
use that as the starting point.
So long as you stay in line with that in every decision that you make, everything else will fall in line, because you will be happy doing what you're doing, because you found a pathway within the core values that you wrote down.
Yeah.
And so if spending time with your family is like your main core value, then you'll find a way to develop some type of way to monetize your life while simultaneously staying in line
spending time with your family. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If spending time with your family is a thing, well, like, let me get my brother and let's do a podcast. I love podcasting. I love my family.
That's
even if this podcast doesn't go anywhere, I'm like,
we spend
I
time
hang out with
together.
my brother, I hang out with my friends. It's like,
that's another thing that we got to do.
Literally.
We got to stop doing is putting expectations on ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Because
amen.
If you guys, you said it right here. Even if it doesn't amount to anything, or it doesn't reach the goals you set.
Yeah.
Which we haven't really set any goals.
Yeah,
we're just going to do this and not stop.
Yeah.
It's just like,
literally.
I'm with my brother. We having fun. We're doing stuff that we care about.
Yeah.
Together.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go to work and they're doing it with not people that they don't care.
Oh, God. Yeah, right.
And they're spending 60 hours a week
with people they hate.
Stuff that they hate with people that they hate.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, I do the 50-hour a week. I do mortgages too, so I'm doing the 50-hour a week.
Yep.
Hustle, grind.
Yeah.
But I do that job with people that I really, really
Awesome,
like
actually.
working with
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm blessed with everything. You know what I mean? This is like downtime for me. It's no pun intended.
No pun intended.
That's our media company.
No, that's facts. And I tried to do the same thing in my life, man. I also have a podcast called The Famously Average.
Yep.
I do it with my friends. And that's just, at the end of the day, we can get 2 listens, but I'm linking up with my friends every week. One of the things is when I finally put down my values, I was like, I want to spend more time with my friends. Here's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And we can fuck around and monetize our time.
Yeah, exactly.
If we get a couple sponsors, next thing you know, you're getting paid to kick it with your friends.
Yeah.
Cheat code in life.
I know, dude. You're chilling for a while, dude. Like,
And
literally.
With this, I mean, again, even if it doesn't go anywhere, like we're just we keep having people on, right? And then we ask people like, one, it's super motivating for me to sit here and hear your story and everybody that came on before you. I haven't had one person. We haven't had one person come on where we were like, damn, we didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's just life lessons, stuff that puts
Motivational
other stuff into perspective for us.
Puts a battery in your pack, man.
Hell yeah. It's like church.
Keeps you going.
Feels like church.
That's what I found by doing this, the book tour. It was like, I like being around like-minded individuals. And what I found with that is that now we transition into another thing that I do. So we got basketball, we got the book, we got DOMODE. And another layer to JB is introversion. And I had to identify, it took me a while to recognize this, but I had to identify that my personality traits, obviously it affects outwardly to who I'm kicking it with, I've had the same friends since like forever, bro.
Yeah, same with us.
And I was like thinking about that one day, like how did I have the same friends for so long? And I realized like we never compromise each other. We all recognize who each other are. We're all introverts, to be honest with you. And we just like, we never push these certain boundaries naturally. It's not because we don't want to, it's because like, I'm not gonna put you in a predicament because I don't want you to put me in a predicament. Therefore we've been friends and we never been in predicaments. Like not to say that we haven't been in like
squirrels,
dumb things, but it hasn't been like anything crazy. And I've been friends with my friends for a long time, I'm talking like 20 years plus, all of them, 5 friends. We've been together in mostly everything.
You accept them for who they are, they accept you for who you are.
And one of the things is that I found is that introverted, I found when I got out of school, going to trying to figure my way through the corporate world, I was going to like the things that people say you do, networking events, resume building events.
And it was like different for you.
It was overwhelming, dog. I'll go there with the people say you gotta get business cards, you gotta start a LinkedIn page. So I did that. I got business cards. I would go to the networking events and I would leave with the same amount of business cards I went in. I wasn't giving them out because I wasn't talking to people. And I just was drained of energy, dog. And it was just like annoying. I was getting nothing out of it. And then after a while going through this part of my life, the more creative part and finding fulfillment there, I was like, I need to be around more people like this. And when the podcast, ours too, has people on it for which we get motivation from, because everyone's story, everyone's come up is different. And everyone has, what I found is everyone's pathway is a little different, but they all striving towards the same goals, same pathway, same end points, I mean. It was like, I got to be more around this more, but also recognizing when I'm getting drained. So the introverted stuff started happening. So I would go speaking about DOMODE, and then that changed again. It morphed into introversion. So I started having talks about introversion and people seeing that you could be an introvert and still be out there, because they were like, how you do a podcast if you're an introvert, or how you write a book if you're an introvert.
That's Jake.
And it's like, you can be. The definition of introvert gets skewed a lot, I think.
Well, people don't know really what an introvert is, and our buddy Solomon is a major introvert, right? So I actually read a little bit about an introvert to understand.
Shout out to you for doing the research.
So I know this is what I know about introverts.
Okay.
For an introvert to be an extrovert, because you guys have the capability, you need your alone time to regain that energy.
We process everything in our heads.
Son, I can give you the easiest definition that I have in terms of introvert or extroversion. And it all is just predicated upon where you derive your energy from. Introverts derive it from internally, and extroverts derive it from externally. So meaning that you need to recharge your batteries by chilling by yourself sometimes, or just being alone, listening to music, whatever it is.
Time to process.
To process. That's introverts. Now, there are different types of introverts. There's a spectrum. Like anything else, there's a spectrum of introversion. So I could be the kind of introvert that has no problem going out public speaking.
Right.
But then I go home and I'm down for like 6 hours.
I feel you so much on that because
Like,
I work in an extroverted career. I do some public speaking stuff. I do the podcast. And that's why I like this podcast because it's like, all right, this is time where I need to force myself out of my comfort zone to do this. And then like after we're doing another podcast after this, when I get home tonight,
You're
it's
down.
going to be shades down. Like I'm going to lock myself in my house with my dog. He doesn't talk, which is perfect.
Like, no bullshit. No bullshit. Shout out to you for doing research because introversion, it again, because of misconception, it can fuck up your relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, if I don't understand Solomon that, hey, like he just this weekend again, he doesn't want to chill. If I don't understand that he needs this time for himself to because he's, you know, he just needs
to be a human.
Yeah, like exactly. Like you won't have friends. You won't have friends with some people.
And that's what happens is most people don't understand that. So that's where I've started to lean into the introversion a bit, and
to help educate.
What we're doing is so creating this digital platform for introverts, and it's a place for community building. So introverts are able to come here, you know, share their stories and just connect with other introverts. So you know that there's people that are like you, that are doing maybe different things. And you can also see the spectrum of introversions. There's some people who just truly don't like talking to people and just want to be alone. That is a version. That's a more extreme version. But then there's milder version.
It's funny, like my whole life, people have been asking me what's wrong with me. Like just because like I need, you know, if I'm surrounded by people, sometimes it's just like I'll be in the corner. Like when I was a kid, especially,
my first
people are like
in places, big rooms, I'm in the corner, I'm in the cut.
I like watching. I love like watching people interact. I like the people watching thing.
When we were
I like
in
talking
Moco
to
that
people.
time, I sat down.
Yeah, I remember.
And kind of just everybody was doing shit.
Yeah.
And that's just who I am. And it's not because, again, it may come off, some people think it's arrogance. Some people think that you're antisocial. And it's not any of those things.
Right.
It's just, I got to process what's happening.
Right.
And
I'm
then
with you.
then I'll come through. Now, the pros, like I look at introversion as a superpower because essentially we're highly analytical. We can analyze situations.
Right.
We can sit there and process it. That by the time we give you an answer about something, we've already went over it a few times.
That's the right answer.
So this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
And there's no like deviation from that.
That's what I've always thought. Like I have all this stuff going on in my head, and about 5% of it actually gets out when I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, but I've gone over like analyzing, and I'm much better if I could sit and write things down because I have that time to process it. Like I get all of it. I just started
writing this year, like writing things down.
Right.
Ironically, I wrote a book, but I wasn't writing stuff down. I kind of was just going. But as life gets more hectic, you got to put it down.
Yeah.
Another superpower about introversion, I think, is that we're good listeners. We sit there and because we have to process things, we have to listen to what you're saying. And I think that has allowed me to I sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm hearing you. Versus extroverts, I've noticed my extroverted friends, they just waiting to talk. They're just waiting for the opening and just go. So you said, I'm like, yo, you didn't even let me finish what I was about to say. So.
You have to let people know though sometimes because I'll start listening and hearing, and then all of a sudden I'm analyzing what they're saying and I'm not saying anything back. So you gotta, I mean,
there's a balance, of course. At the base level, we're all humans.
Yeah.
And we all like to, we're tribal by nature. So you got to find your tribe and figure out.
You ever read that book, Tribe?
No. I got another book.
Yeah.
No, I have a friend who he was in the Marine Corps, combat veteran, and
Jake actually knows all Marines, just so you know.
I don't know why. I just gravitate towards
those are the people that you fuck with.
Yeah. Like they're like me, disciplined.
Yes.
Doers. You know what I mean? Like my best friend is an ex-drill instructor.
I work in the veteran community up at Yale.
Oh, awesome. Wow. I should interview. I have a bunch of people I got to introduce you to.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
There's a book called Tribe that he told me about because when he got out of the military, he really, really struggled with coming back to
identity and stuff. Yeah, real world.
Yeah, identity crisis, society. Yeah. And he told me, he said, read this book Tribe, and you'll understand a lot more about where he's coming from.
I mean, another shameless plug. This is why I think the Toughest Two is so. If I had it my way, I'd revamp Toughest Two and come back out because I've learned so much more.
Why don't you make a second one?
about to.
No,
you could reuse that book and then add in like your
dog. It's happening.
We're excited about it. Yeah,
the toughest 2 is going to be revamped, and because the reason why is because of what you just said in terms of the moral there that you said that like people are transitioning in and out of different aspects of their life. It's not just college transition or not just playing basketball. It's and that's the thing about the toughest 2 that most people think is just relegated towards basketball, but in reality it's a life thing. It's like regardless of what stages you're transitioning to and from, it's a hard, like you got to go through these same processes of trying to identify. Some people do it seamlessly, but most don't. Most people have to like re-identify themselves, re-figure out what they're good at, what their passions are. Every so often, that shit could change. Like you could be in the Marines and in 5 years, but then now you got to come home and assimilate to a different society. Maybe you got to be a real estate agent and you got to have these soft skills, because for sports, Army, like you get talked to straight, right? And you got to be able to take that, and you give it sometimes. Like, yo, just go over there and do it. And when you come over, like you have all these, like, bro, just do that shit. Yeah. But you have to recognize that not like in normal society, you got to be able to softly like
with the snowflakes,
the little cupcakes out there.
You can't just yell at everybody and tell them to go do it. They're not gonna do it how you want to do it. They're not gonna do it exactly how you would have did it. And like there's just these skills you got to learn. So I think that it happens in a variety of ways. Yeah, so that's dope that Danny was in the.
Yeah, Danny was in the Marine Corps.
It's not the Danny podcast, but I'm telling you, I know it's so connected.
Yeah, he was sitting where you were.
Yeah. So
and then one more question. Yeah. So being from like Bridgeport and coming from like the inner city and never giving up, like what do you think it is that's different about you than so many other people, like where you didn't give up, like you somehow like just kept going through it, where like other people
would have given up,
take a different path, you know? Like
I mean, I have a fear of mediocrity, dog. Like it's really that simple. I don't want to settle because I don't want to settle. You know, it's very binary to me, and I don't think that I'm special in terms of talent or critically thinking. Yeah. Like I've mentioned several times over, like it takes me a while to get the point of things, and I have to go through a lot of trial and error to get to where I want to be at. But the separating factor is that I'm not afraid to do that. The choices here is whether or not I'm going to next year at this time, am I going to be in the same space I'm in right now, or am I going to be forward, or I'll be backwards. And all these ebbs and flows that life takes you down. If you're afraid to make any missteps, then you'll just be in the same spot for as long as you don't move. And it's something like Nipsey Hussle said at one point. He was just like, yo, the only separating factor is I just ain't quit. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way. Like I'm just not gonna stop because I know where I want to be at. And I think it's more of like I said earlier, if I give the effort, the universe will return, and will give me what I need in order to get me where I would say I want to be at.
Nice.
Awesome.
Where, real quick, where can everybody find you? Shout out your social media. Shout out where we can find the podcast, please.
So for DOMODE related things, it's DOMODE_USA. That's our page on IG, and our website is getindomode.com. And you can grab apparel there, and you can check out Project DOMODE there as well. We're going to highlight our first doer shortly, actually.
Cool.
And for me personally, I am Introverted JB on IG, and also have introverted videos on YouTube. You just type in Introverted JB on YouTube. And for the podcast, we have the Famously Average podcast. That could be found anywhere you listen to your podcast. You could type in the Famously Average on YouTube. We got full videos on YouTube as well, where we highlight people doing dope stuff, entrepreneurs, and just like-minded individuals.
Awesome.
So,
sweet.
Thanks for coming on. Oh, go ahead, Jakey.
Anything else you want to add in?
I didn't talk about this yet or much, but I'm also at Yale getting my master's degree.
Sweet.
And
yeah, right.
So just another layer of shit to get done. And I'm again, this is all just, it's not to brag, it's to show you that you can literally do whatever you want to do. yes, it's daunting. There's days I feel like quitting. I've talked about it on the podcast. It's like, yes, I wanted to stop doing all the shit that I was doing this year. But the balance is to have more good days than bad. And hopefully if you thinking on something way too long, then it's probably a sign for you to get moving on it. So I thought about getting a degree at that would further help me separate from, the norm. And it'd just be dope to say I got a Yale degree.
Hell yeah, bro.
So I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And, that on top of everything else, no time better than now, man.
Yeah.
No time.
Sounds good. Thank you for all the wisdom.
Thanks for
we
coming,
appreciate
man.
it.
This was great. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, thank you so much. Good morning, good day, good night. Until next time.